Okay, well, here we are continuing the series on making the continuous armchair, this chair right here, and getting ready to turn my attention to the seat. So trying to keep everything just specific to the continuous armchair, because all the other stuff is in the general information videos. But of course, as I've said before, there's a whole lot of crossover there, so I'll be redundant on a little bit of the stuff. But so here I'm gonna show you boring the holes in the spindle deck. I'm only going to bore one hole for you, the center one, and then we're going to go to the arm supports, because setting the arm supports, one, drilling the holes down here and getting this set, which is what we're going to do, and the combination of drilling the arm holes up here and getting the arm set are the four most important holes on the whole entire chair, because they control this back. And you know, the back could be like this, it could be like this, it could lean back too much, be forward too much. There's all kinds of things that it can be, and these arm supports control that. So so I take a lot of time in setting them in the seat. So that's what we're going to be paying our attention to right now. So we'll start out with the plans here for the continuous arm. And so what we're concentrating on right now, just going to be the spindle holes, these holes right here. We'll do the arm supports in a few minutes, but just the spindle holes. So, you know, next to the spindle holes are the resultant angle, the 12 degrees for the center hole, and that's what you're leaning the drill bit back, of course, as you know from the previous video. And then there's the siding angles, you know, right there drawn out. And now down here, if you read the fine print, hopefully you did, it kind of explains a little bit about how I chose these particular siding angles and resultant angles, because the bend's going to vary. The bend's, you know, the bend, it's steam bend. It's not going to be the same every single time. So what I've done here, as it says right here, is I've erred on the side that's more vertical. So this is 12 degrees resultant angle. It's not going to be over that, and the siding angle on this one is coming right like this, so it's not going to be more like this, which would kick that spindle out this way. So there's going to be less rake and splay on all of these spindles possibly than in actual practice. And the reason I do it that way is so then when you put the chair together, the spindles will slightly bend back and flare out that way in the chair, which is much better looking than if they do just the opposite, which would be to curve in and bow in. And so you're kind of erring on this other side. So now if you want them, and it also says, if you want those spindles to be perfectly straight and match the chair dead perfect, then you're going to bore all of them, except for the center one. You're going to bore all of them after you mount the arm. And then you can place your drill between where you're going to drill the hole in the arm and on a spot right here, and bore it and show it exactly, and hit it exactly. And I'll show you that when we get to that point in making the chair. I'll show you that. So right now we're going to just go and show you how I drill that center hole, and that's going to be exactly the way I drill all these other ones, and then we'll move to the real important stuff, which is the arm supports. Well, I've got a single board of eastern white pine here, and I've laid it out with ink line so you can see it better. Usually I don't do that, it's pencil line, but got it laid out with an ink line, and you can see the siding angles all drawn on it from the spindles and for the arm supports. I don't have the siding angles for the legs. I usually drill the holes for my legs after I carve, at least on the chairs that don't get painted, and I'll explain that when I do an unpainted chair. But so I don't have the lines on there. But if you prefer to bore them before you carve the seat, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that, it's 6 one, half dozen another, then you just need to adjust where the holes are going according to the plan, and that's shown on the plan. So those holes get adjusted slightly along the siding angle if you're going to bore before. So I'm boring after, and so I don't even have the lines on here. So I'm going to bore with these are 1/2 inch holes, and I'm going to, you know, I love to use a bit brace. So this is a Spofford right here, as a lot of y'all know, and this is an auger bit, a Russell Jennings auger bit, 1/2 inch. The advantages to an auger bit with a bit brace right here is it's just nice and slow, can hold the angle so much better. You can sharpen these things up to where they enter softwood really clean. Not that any other bit can't do that too, but the auger bit tuned up just won't pull out a chip on pine unless you're at a real steep angle, and it might do it. So that's why I prefer to use this. But use any drill that you want, any drill bit and any type of drill power that you want. And then I've got my bevel square set for 12 degrees where I'm going to drill this hole right here. And then as you come around, if you've got the plans and you look on the plans, then they go 12, 13, 15, 18 and a half, 18 and 19. And you just change your bevel square and make sure that you're lining up with your siding line, that they're parallel with that siding line. So I'm just going to show you one of these holes, the center one, and it's 1 1/8 inch deep. Now with an auger bit, one of the advantages is I can just count. I don't have to have a depth stop on it. I can just count and I know how deep it is. So with this particular bit, it's 18 turns, I think, to 1 1/8 inch. And you might want to, especially on the center one, it's real important that you get this plane right, or you'll end up with the spindle looking crooked in the chair, the center spindle. You can get by with crooks on those spindles to the side, but not the center spindle. So if you have trouble lining it up with that line, you can take a tri-square and put it here and put a, knock it over, and put a mirror right behind it. And then you can just keep it just dead on it until you learn how to do it, and then you won't need the mirrors. But that might help you get it there. Just don't use it as a crutch, because you can move on past that. Okay, I'll drill this then. Okay, nice and pleasant. Love that. That's all there is to that. Now we'll move on to the arm supports. So here we are back on the plans and getting ready to drill the arm support holes. So those are drilled at 1/2 inch, and they'll be reamed with a 6-degree reamer. And the resultant angle, as you see here, and that's the angle you're going to lean back, is 24.7 degrees. Now, you know, that might sound pretty anal to some of you all. And the thing is that's the way the math works out. So don't get hung up on really don't get hung up on any of these measurements or angles or anything, because I mean, I just made them all up, so you can just adjust them to suit you. But if you look at the arm support rake and splay, then what that adds up to, if you look at the trig tables, it adds up to the resultant angle being 24.7, and then the siding angle being right back along that line right there. Okay, so but now we've got another thing to look at. As I'm reaming this arm support, there's a certain depth that I go to, and that's in the other drawing. So I'll pull it up and show it to you. Okay, so over here on the side view, which is the, showing the rake angles of everything, you see the arm support right here, and right here it says that, see that there, that is 8 1/16 of an inch measured in line with the sight line on the obtuse angle side of the turning. Now, does that make any sense to you? Do you understand that? I probably wouldn't if I wasn't the one that wrote it. But I'll be showing you exactly where I'm measuring from on that. And I'm going right up to the score line on the top of that arm support. And that's, 8 1/16 of an inch there. So, okay, let's go to it and bore the holes and ream. So I've got the bevel square set for 24.7. Now, leaning back that far is sometimes a little bit difficult with an auger bit, because the knickers have to hit and score the hole. And so I'll probably start up somewhere around 20 or so, and then gain that other 4 to 5 degrees as I get down into it. So there I am at 6 turns, and I'll just look and just make sure I'm on it. And I look pretty good. I could come back a little bit. So there I am poking through just barely, and you could clamp a block underneath there and just go through. You could just blow through and live with the breakout, or you can bore back through from the other side. And so that's what I always do, is I bore back through from the other side. And I just bore back through just right like that from underneath. But I got my clamp too close this time to be able to do it, so can't do that. Okay, so I'll drill this other hole, and then when we come back, I'll ream them for you. Alright, well, getting ready to ream the hole. I've got my 6-degree reamer, which I've talked about that in the general information video about why I use the 6-degree reamer. If you want to know, you can go find that and read about it. And looking along the siding line, I've got tri-square set up on the siding line, and I'm going to use my bevel square to read the angle, read the resultant angle. Now, this is 24.7. I could set the bevel square at 24.7 and read right off of the middle of the reamer. But what I prefer to do is subtract 3 degrees. So it's a 6-degree included angle. So it's 3 degrees on either side. So I can subtract 3 degrees off of the bevel square and put it at 21.7 and read right off of the front of that bevel square. I mean of the reamer. And so that's what I prefer to do. So that's what we'll be doing. So let's get a little taper started here, and then I can start reading it. You can probably hear it thundering around me. If the rain hits, we'll have to postpone for a while. But so I'm dead on it right there, so I'm not going to change. And I've got to go to the right there. So I just put a little bit of pressure over to the right side. And that's really close. And that one's really close. Maybe back and right just barely. So I'll pull it out, clean it, and now at this time I can check the depth. Now I know I've got to go down further, but we'll check the depth anyway. So this is that 8 1/16 that I was talking about over there on the plans. I measured dead off of that siding line. So I put the dividers right on the siding line at the base of the arm support, and I'm going to the score line on that bulb right there. So you see I've got you know, a good 3/4 of an inch to go before I get there. Now I've also set this not at 8 1/16 but at 8 3/16. So what I do is I take this one down to 8 3/16 and I take this one down to 8 3/16. I've got an 1/8 more to go to just tweak them just right, and of course I'll show you how to do that. So let's continue reaming here. Okay, looking pretty good. Could go to the right a little bit, and could go back a little bit. So it could go back and right a smidgen. And you see I've got about 3/16 to go. We ought to be real close there. Okay, got about a 1/16 more to go. I'll just go ahead and get that. And I'm sure that's it. And I'm dead on it now. So I'll ream the other one down to that 8 3/16 point, and then reset my dividers, and I'll show you how I take it down to the last bit of down to 8 1/16. Okay. Alright, well, I had to stop a few minutes for the thunderstorm and passed. Now there's a little bit of thunder out there, so hopefully it won't knock us off or bother with the audio. So I've got both arm supports in. They're at 8 3/16 to the scribe line now, measuring off of this point right there. And so now I'm going to start looking at it with winding sticks. Now, one thing that I do most of the time, or usually do, is before I bore these two holes with the auger bit, I draw a line connecting them this way. And I use that to sight my winding stick off of. But I forgot to do that. So I'll have to put a winding stick down here, which means that, I mean, it works fine. We do have the variable of the diameter of these. Since these are eyeballed and turned on the lathe, they might not be exact, but I do think they're close enough. So anyway, so I've got the one stick down there, hanging the other one right up here, and then I just sight over it, and I can see that this one is about a 1/16 further this way. Now, or that one's a 1/16 further back that way, or half of that, both directions. So what I would do before I start messing with it is I would check and see how exact I got both of these and see which way I might need to move these to correct. Generally, we know that that one needs to go back and this one needs to go forward. But which way? Exactly more out this way or more this way? So I'll check on that, and then we'll look at the winding sticks from a close up. Let's see here. Okay. So I'm exact on that. And that could barely go to the right a little bit. And I'm exact on that. And that could barely go that way a little bit, which is where the whole thing could be. And then there's one other thing that you can look at too. Let me get a pencil. Oh, there's one right there. So I'm going to mark, as you know from the general information videos, I orient my grain. So I orient it to where the growth rings are always perpendicular to the long wood fibers of the mortise piece. And if you want to know why, you can look at those videos, those general information videos, basic chair making videos. So one more thing I would look at would be, these could be warped just a tad bit from the super drying, and turning them might fix them. That didn't do a thing. And that didn't do a thing. Either that or made it worse. So we'll get a close-up of this so I can show you exactly what I'm going to be trying to correct. Okay, so you're looking right through here,
And we're looking how those two sticks line up right through there. And I don't know if you can, how you can adjust it, you know, through the camera there, but what I can do is I can make that edge and that edge touch, and I can see that there is a small gap right there. So I'll exaggerate that. That's what I'm seeing right there, only of course much smaller. There's about, I would call it a heavy 1/16 over here. Now from looking at what I did just a minute ago with the reamer and the squares, this support needs to go this way. They're both good in the resultant angle plane, but they were both off in the siding angle. This one needs to come this way, and this one needs to go that way, which should correct this gap right here. So I'm going to take it down that last 1/8 of an inch and see if I can get these to line up. Alright, so I'm going to move this one to the right just a little bit. And let's see what I did there. Okay, I lined it right up. Now let's see. I've reset these for 8 1/16, so about a 30-second shy. Not going to worry too much about that 30-second if I hit this one. So this one's going to go just directly that way. Yep, let's see what I did. Nailing it, so see what kind of great, that's about a 30-second shot. So let's see what we have here. It might be there. And I've got about a 30-second difference right over here. I believe that's close enough for chair making. So that'll be it.